E&G Spanish tutorials. Hey guys, if you're watching this and you've already seen videos 1 and 2, congratulations, we are almost done with what I think is probably one of the hardest things in Spanish too, or whatever Spanish you're in. So let's get started. You know me, I'm E from E&G Spanish Tutorials. Our topic today is double object pronouns, part 3. This is it. Okay, let's start. In the last video, we were doing sentences very similar to this, so this should be nothing new. Our next sentence, the professor tells him it. The it in this situation is going to be the answer, la respuesta. The teacher tells him the answer. The teacher tells him it. What's our direct object? Tells him what? La respuesta. What's our direct object? La. To whom? To him. What is the equivalent to him? Le. We have our indirect object, we have our direct object. We finished the first 2 steps already. Step 3, conjugate, translate the sentence without the pronouns. So the professor tells, we're using the verb decir. El profesor dice. Now, that's all we have, right? That's all we have. Where are we going to put those pronouns? Before our conjugated verb, that's all there is. So it's going to go right here. In what order? Indirect object first, followed by direct object. At this point, you should start getting comfortable with recognizing that that's le and la. That's le together. Spanish does not like that. So we can automatically change this to se, followed by la. El profesor se la dice. What is the se referring to? To him. What is the la referring to? It. The question. The professor tells him it. And if you want to clarify who se is, let's say someone, I don't know, let's say the person wasn't mentioned beforehand. You would say a él. El profesor se la dice a él. What about the command? Tell him it. It is still la respuesta. Him is le. It is your direct object. La respuesta becomes la. Here's your command, your usted command of decir. The verb is decir. Make it usted command. Your command is diga. Now, what happens with our affirmative commands? We attach these to the affirmative command. In what order? Indirect first, direct object next. What do we have here? Le la. We don't use that in Spanish. We need to change this to what? Se. Now let's attach. Now, where does our accent go? Let's imagine this isn't, the se la is not here. How would you say this word? Diga. Diga. Where do you hear the stress? On the I. That's where your accent goes. Dígasela. And of course, if you want to clarify, a él. What about the professor is going to tell him it? The professor is going to tell him it. What is your direct object? It is still la respuesta, so it's going to be la. Him is your indirect object. Nothing has changed. Métele nos or les, it's going to be le to him. The professor, el profesor, is going to, va a, tell, decir, him it. Which is first? Le followed by la. And a million times I've said before, le. Nuh-uh, not happening. Let's change this le to a se. This goes first. Let's attach it here. It could go before va. Here's your conjugated verb. You could say el profesor se la va a decir and not have to worry about accents, but I'm trying to get you into the habit of realizing that accents are not that hard to deal with. Va a decir se la. And if you think about it, this construction looks more similar to English. The professor is going to tell him it. It sounds like English. Now just imagine, take out that se la. How do you say this? Decir. Decir. You stress the I, not the E. It's not decir, it's decir. That's where your accent goes. Decírsela. And you can clarify if you want to by saying a él. Our next sentence. We make it for them. For them. It is going to refer to la fiesta. So what is our direct object? La fiesta. What are we going to replace la fiesta with? La. What's our indirect object? For whom? For them. Which one of those is for them? Me, te, le, nos, or les? Les. So we have our indirect object, we have our direct object. We make. Hacemos. That's all we have. Here's our conjugated verb. So you know the two things, the double objects are going to go right before the conjugated verb. In what order? Indirect first, direct object next follows. What do we change this to? Se. We can't have le together. It's going to be se la hacemos. We make it for them. If you want to clarify this, we can say a ellos. Se la hacemos a ellos. Okay, so now we're going to focus on something a little different. Sometimes you'll have to pull double object pronouns from questions. Because I imagine that your teachers, for whatever reason you're doing this, are not going to make it as simple as what we just went through, even if you thought it was hard, which it was. But they're not going to make it just like, oh, what's this? What's your direct object? What's your indirect? Sometimes you'll have to come up with stuff on your own. How else do you plan to have a conversation? You know, you're not going to get a sentence that says, underline your indirect object. And then, you know, you can say the sentence. No, you got to come up with these on your own in responses to questions. So, pulling a double object pronouns from questions. Let's look at an example. Our sentence now is, ¿Cuándo vas a comprarle flores a tu mamá? Now, one thing I want to clarify here, I know I said omit this and where's your stress and that's where your accent goes. With this, you don't need to, because if you remember your accent rules, there is a video on that. This ends in an E, our stress should fall naturally there, right? Well, if we take away the le and we say that word, comprar, well, that's where our stress is anyway, so there's no need to put an accent. But besides that, when are you going to buy flowers for your mother? For her, this is just clarifying this. I'm just explaining, breaking down the sentence for you. So what is our direct object in the sentence? Las flores. For las flores, we're taking away the flores. We already have our indirect object there. It's already written for us. So how would you answer, I'm going to buy them for her tomorrow? You can do this one of two ways. Voy a comprar. The easy way to do this would just go with that. It's already attached there. All we have to do is put this direct object after this indirect object, right? And it's already attached to an infinitive. There's nothing you have to worry about. And you don't need to clarify a mi madre because they already know who you're talking about. Now what we have to do here, we can have le las together. Change this to se las. Take away those two. Where is our stress? Comprar. Comprar. It's on the AR, so that's where your accent goes. Comprárselas. You could do it that way, or that's the same thing as saying se las voy a comprar. Because sure, our rules say we can attach this to an infinitive, or we can put this before a conjugated verb. But either way, they have to be together. You can't have one here and one down there. They have to be either connected to comprar or before voy. They're both correct. Here's our next sentence. ¿Cuándo me mandaste el correo electrónico? When did you send me the email? What is our direct object in this sentence? El correo electrónico. Let's make this into a direct object pronoun. It's a singular masculine noun, so it's going to be lo. We already have an indirect. Notice in these questions, we already have some kind of indirect object in there. So we don't need to think about what is our indirect. It's given to us. ¿Cuándo me mandaste el correo electrónico? So how would we answer if we wanted to say yesterday? I sent it to you yesterday. We have our indirect, we have our direct. How do you say I sent? Yo mandé. Here's our conjugated verb. That means we know both of them are going to go right here. That's the only place they can go. What's our indirect? Me. What's our direct? Lo. Oh, I'm sorry. One thing, I made a big mistake there. See? The person's asking, when did you send it to me? Now we want to say, I sent it to you. We're not going to use me anymore. We're going to use te. Yo te lo mandé ayer. I sent it to you yesterday. I sent it to you yesterday. You have to be careful with your objects, your indirect objects, and how they change when you're having a conversation. Our next sentence is from a teacher. ¿Cuándo van a entregarme la tarea? When are you all going to send me the homework or turn in the homework to me? What's your direct object? La tarea. We're going to replace it with la. Your indirect object is already given. Like I said, it's usually going to be given in question words. So how would you say we turned it in today? Entregamos we turn them in now. Ahora. Here's a conjugated verb. I will say before a conjugated verb, that's where we have our indirect and direct. Which is first, the me or the la? The me. Now remember in my previous example where I messed up, you're going to have to realize we're not using me anymore because we're not turning in the homework to ourselves. We're turning it to our professor. So which is the best indirect object pronoun? Me, not me, te. Well, we're speaking to a teacher, so don't use te. Le. Le is probably the best one because it's to him, to her, or to you formal. So we're going to make it le, and then what's our direct object? La. Entregamos ahora. But we can't have le together. Se la entregamos ahora. And if you want to clarify, a usted. We're turning it in to you, formal, now. Our final sentence is Eric. ¿Cuándo vas a enseñarnos los double object pronouns? When are you going to teach us the direct object pronouns? Well, what's your direct object? Los DOPs. We're going to replace that with los. To whom? When are you going to teach to whom? To us. My answer would be, well, estoy enseñando. I'm teaching it to you now. That's why it's in present progressive. I'm doing it right now. Estoy enseñando. We're going to attach it to ando yendo. We could put it before estoy, but we're going to attach it here. Enseñando, which is first? Nos or los? Well, it's going to be your indirect, but we're not using nos because that would mean I'm teaching it to us already. I want to say I'm teaching it to you all. So it's not going to be los we're going to be using, which is the equivalent of to you all. Les. Let's put this first, and then let's put the direct object following. That's one long word. You can't have lelo together, lele, so you got to change this to celos. Imagine those two aren't there. How would you say this? Enseñando, enseñando. On the A, that's where your natural stress is. That's where your accent's going to go. Estoy enseñándoselos. Los is referring to double object pronouns. Se is referring, it used to be les, but we had to change it, right? It's referring to you all, and this is estoy enseñando. I'm doing it right now. That was a lot to take in, so feel free to watch this video as many times as you need to, or talk to a tutor, or read it in your book, or look online for other resources. But if you got videos 1 through 3 down and you understand them pretty well, then you should be golden for whatever test you have to take or for whatever you need to do. So thank you so much for watching. You've been great. Talk to you later.